Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and this is a writing question that is asking you to identify the best way of phrasing a sentence that's already given to you. For this sort of problem, what you need to do is read the sentence and try to put yourself in the position of a person that might have written or said the sentence, and then try to keep intact the main ideas that the sentence is providing in whichever answer choice you end up seeing. So let's go ahead and read the sentence together first. During the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students, and they thereby provided them with needed nourishment. The idea here, in this part of the sentence is underlined, is that students were the recipients of these cans of food, and that then receiving this food meant that they were provided with needed nourishment. So let's go ahead and consider the answer choices right away from there. Keeping the sentence as is, during the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students, and they thereby provided them with needed nourishment. The problem here is "and" means that this portion of the sentence could stand on its own. So they thereby provided them with needed nourishment would make sense. However, we're already given what the they would be referring to in the previous sentence to be cans of food were distributed to elementary students. This is the subject of the previous sentence. The elementary students here were the recipients. So the they would be going back to this subject. Of the previous clause, cans of food. So that wouldn't make any sense, because then this would read, if this was two separate sentences, during the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students. Cans of food thereby provided them with needed nourishment. The cans of food themselves aren't providing them with anything. Cans of food were provided to them, so this option doesn't make sense. Now let's look at the second one. During the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students and therefore providing them with needed nourishment. This has the exact same problem, but more importantly, here we have "and", which would mean that this side of the sentence would be able to stand on its own. And you're starting with the word "therefore". Therefore would be, again, referencing a subject in a previous sentence. So you can't really start the sentence with "therefore", and again, the subject would be cans of food. So that doesn't make any sense. We're scratching that one out for the same reasons as the previous one. The third option. During the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students, by which needed nourishment was therefore provided. This would make sense. However, we've got by which needed nourishment, and then therefore. And we're using too many words here to express the idea. If you had students by which needed nourishment was provided, would be a better way. Or if you wanted to have both of these ideas together, you can have an even simpler students thereby providing needed nourishment, which is the next option. It keeps intact the ideas of this previous sentence, but is way less cluttered and still grammatically correct. Something that you want to aim for this sort of problem is simplicity, the least complex but grammatically correct form. So this is a better option here. Let's see if the following sentence might be even better. During the economic depression, cans of food were distributed to elementary students, and therefore this had needed nourishment provided, period. The problem here is we're not told to who this was provided, which is an idea that is given here in this first option, them. But that's not here in this option either. Another problem that we see is "and" would introduce a separate sentence, and that "therefore" would have to, again, be able to stand alone. And this is making reference to a previous subject, which we've already seen would be cans of food in this clause, and that doesn't make sense. Therefore, cans of food had needed nourishment provided, because cans of food are not providing this nourishment. Somebody is providing these cans of food to the students. This is much like when you're presented with a question dealing with an author and a book that they've written. The book isn't doing anything. It's the author that wrote the book. For this exam, you want to make sure that you zero in on a subject that is a person when you're looking for the best possible answer. I hope that helped with this sort of problem, and happy prepping.